This is SMNI News Channel. Truth that matters.
Today in the headlines, Philippine State Bureau has lifted all tropical cyclone wind signals as Typhoon Aghon weakens and moves away from the country. However, the storm has left one person dead and affected over 200 barangays, according to the NDRRMC. Meanwhile, amid the West Philippine Sea conflict, Zambales fisherfolk have noted China's less aggressive stance under the Duterte administration. Despite this, they seek protection against the continued threat of arrest by Chinese authorities. Also, in the top stories, a former political prisoner in the Philippines warns of potential underground movement amid suppression of peace rallies by the Marcos regime. In other news, two Russian agencies recommend delisting rights-violating group as terrorist. And North Korea rejects denuclearization calls at South Korea's three-way summit, intensifying tensions in the peninsula. I'm Franco Baranda. Newsline World starts now. Pag-asa has lifted all tropical cyclone wind signals as Typhoon Aghon weakens and moves away from the country, but the storm has left one person dead, according to the NDRRMC. Here is Carlo de la Peña with more details.
More than 12,000 families, equivalent to over 36,000 individuals, have been affected by Typhoon Aghon. 6 regions, 16 provinces, 67 cities or municipalities, and over 200 barangays experienced the impact of Aghon. More than 60 individuals were preemptively evacuated from their homes in Region 5 and Region 8. The NDRRMC recorded 8 casualties. 7 are still being verified, while 1 has been confirmed dead due to the severe weather. As of 5 a.m. May 28, Tuesday, Pag-asa has lifted all tropical cyclone wind signals as Typhoon Aghon weakens while moving away from the country. For God and my beloved country, the Philippines, this has been Carlo de la Peña, SMNI News.
Meanwhile, the Filipino Army ensures that the sacrifices of Army personnel are not wasted by expediting the provision of pensions and benefits to wounded and deceased soldiers. Here is the report by Elmar Forzuelo.
A soldier's job is not easy. It is a profession that they have sworn to uphold with their lives. They also play a significant role in maintaining peace and ensuring the safety of every Filipino. They are ready to risk their lives for the country. As others say, they are still alive, but their feet are already in the grave. That is why, as a recognition of the sacrifices of soldiers, the Philippine Army is now accelerating the provision of pensions and financial assistance to the wounded and deceased. In a press briefing, Lieutenant General Roy Galido, Commanding General of the Philippine Army, said that they have addressed the issue regarding the provision of benefits to soldiers who sacrifice their lives for the country.
This time we have solved that problem. So once a member of the Army sacrifices life on duty, call of duty, immediately we give compensation, and fastest within a month, yung beneficiaries would already receive their monthly pension. And that has been achieved already.
He added that before, survivors of soldiers took a long time to receive their benefits.
Before, it takes a long time. Siguro, kung malalaman nyo lang yung time frame kung kailan natatanggap ng survivors yung benefits, baka kayo ayaw nyo maging survivor.
Related to this, in an exclusive interview with SMNI News, Colonel Louis Di Maala, spokesperson of the Philippine Army, said that before, it took 1 to 2 years before soldiers received their benefits.
In-emphasize na doon yung mga benefits, hindi lang actually sugatan na sundalo. Lahat ng sundalo natin, particularly din yung mga killed in action. So, pinabilis natin yung pagbibigay ng benepisyo, lalo-lalo doon para sa kanilang mga naiwang pamilya. Dati, inaabot ng 1 o 2 taon bago makuha yung kanilang mga benefits, yung pensyon.
Colonel Di Maala explained that since Lieutenant General Galido assumed office as Commanding General of the Philippine Army, all Army personnel are now required to comply with what is called a military personnel file. He said that originally, when a soldier was injured or killed in operation, the family or relatives had to obtain the documents, which delayed the process of benefits.
Una-una, ginawa niya na pinag-comply lahat ng ating mga kasundaluhan na buo ng tinatawag nating military personnel file, which is nandoon lahat ng mga original documents na kinakailangan, just like birth certificate, medical certificate. So naka-ready para may kung mga untoward incidents na mangyari doon sa mga sundalo, naka-ready yung mga documents. Hindi na kailangan pa na yung pamilya kukontakin natin para mag-produce ng ganitong mga documents.
However, due to the new system implemented by the Philippine Army, obtaining benefits is now easier.
But now, pinabilis ni General Galido by restructuring yung systems and processes sa pag-process nitong mga benefits, yung pensions.
Finally, Lieutenant General Galido emphasized that he wants to assure all Army personnel that the government will not reject their families if something unfortunate happens to them while in service for the country.
That we are taking good care of them while they are in service and their families when the time arises.
For God and my beloved Philippines, Almar Forsuelo, SMNI News.
Because of the current administration's suppression of peace rallies, some may resort to underground movements to convey grievances to the government. This is according to a former political prisoner during Marcos Sr.'s regime. Here's my report.
Katulad ng nagaganap ngayon, obserbahan natin, sinusuppress, pinipigilan, no? Hindi pinapayagan yung mga peaceful assembly. Ang nangyari doon, maraming mga leader, manggagawa at mga ordinaryong kasapi ng Union ang napilitang mag-underground. At sila ay hindi pa sila mulat. Ano ba itong pinaglalaban ng MPA? No? Kasi hinanap sila, binanted sila ng gobyerno eh.
Sa mga batang manunood, ang underground means nagtago.
Nagtago at humawak ng armas.
Ayun, klaro.
No? Sa madaling salita, natutulak ang mga tao na sa karahasan. No? Maaring hindi sinasadya ito ng pamahalaan, pero gano'n na nagiging epekto. At kapag ito'y pinagpatuloy ng presidente, kalunos-lunos ang mangyayari.
This is the warning of the former political prisoner of the Communist Party of the Philippines, Peter Mutuk, also known as Caramon, during the administration of Marcos Sr. to President Bongbong Marcos Jr. This is in connection with the ongoing suppression by the administration of organized peaceful rallies in various parts of the country. It can be recalled that a peace rally in Tacloban City this weekend did not push through after Remedios Trinidad Romualdez Plaza, where the gathering was supposed to take place, turned into parking lot. According to Caramon, this could possibly incite a violent underground movement if the administration continues to hinder the free expression. On the other hand, Attorney Marlon Bosantog, National Coordinator of the IPRA Center, believes that the outcome would not be favorable if the administration continues to suppress the planned peace rallies.
If you look at how political struggles are created, it's better that people are going to the streets, no? Kasi ang silence, an alarming silence, mas nakakatakot yun. Gusto magsalita, pinigilan. Because you cannot, ito yung sabi ko nung last episode pag sinabi mo sa tao ngayon na gusto magsalita, huwag kang magsalita dyan. Uuibihan sasabihin niya na, ay hindi ako pinayagan di ba? They will look for alternative to speak.
Which can be dangerous.
Which can be dangerous. So it's for me, it's better that you allow people to speak because you have the opportunity to respond and explain. That is proper governance.
Good point. Good point.
But if you will not allow them to speak, no, they will find other ways to speak. Maybe not the use of megaphones, no? Diyan lumalabas ang ating mga political struggles.
Bosantog reminded the BBM administration that it is better to allow peaceful rallies of the people than to resort to violent movements as exemplified by the late father of President Bongbong Marcos, where the terrorist group CBB-NPA-NDF was born, resulting in countless Filipino lives lost.
For God and my beloved Philippines, Franco Baranda, SMNI News. Amid the ongoing conflict among senators, former Senator Joel Villanueva has called for a moving on. However, he also mentioned that most of the so-called solid 7 senators are considering shifting to the minority bloc in the Senate. Roy Gomez reports.
The solid 7 senators are still feeling the pain from the recent leadership change in the Senate. The solid 7 consist of senators who did not support the removal of former Senate President Juan Miguel Zubiri from his position. These senators include Nancy Binay, Loren de Garda, Win Gatchalian, JV Ejercito, Sani Angara, and Joel Villanueva.
Malungkot lang minsan kasi may maririnig ka pa na yung nagsorry nagdadahilan, yung nagsosorry nagsasabi ng kung ano-ano. Yun lang ang hindi natin minsan na maiwasan na okay na pero parang ano ba yan talaga, no?
Despite their grievances, Senator Villanueva mentioned that their group is open to a dialogue with the new Senate President, Chis Escudero. He also said that 4 of their members considers joining the minority bloc of the Senate, where they can serve as additional fiscalizers. Senators Nancy Binay, JV Ejercito, and Mig Zubiri have already expressed the possibility of switching from majority to minority.
Again, at the end of the day, ang bottom line namin lahat dito ay saan kami mas magiging epektibo in helping the institution and our country and people. Kasi importante rin yung maraming fiscalizers, no?
Villanueva emphasized that it's time to move on since they all understand the political game. However, he also stressed that Zubiri's statement in his speech about the powers that be behind his ousting, who also installed Senator Chis as the Senate President, is not to be taken lightly.
Let us move forward, and it is what it is. We are all seasoned politicians. We know the name of the game. Hindi rin nangangapa o hindi rin chismis yung sinabi ni dating Senate President Mig Zubiri na may powers that be dahil may dalawa namang senador na nagsabi sa grupo namin, no, na tumawag sa kanila.
Senate President Chis Escudero appealed to Zubiri not to lower the Senate's banner regarding the alleged interference of Malacanang in the Senate. This follows Zubiri's statement that external forces intervened, leading to the leadership change on May 20. Escudero reiterated that Malacanang has no vote in the 24-member Senate to elect any Senate President. He reiterated that the change in leadership under Zubiri's term was due to a lack of confidence, with each senator having their own reasons for their vote. For God and my beloved country, the Philippines, Troy Gomez, SMNI News.
A unique camping experience is offered at a glamping site in Kitao-Kitao, Bukidnon, with their luxurious tents that are truly Instagram-worthy. To complete your nature's trip, relax beside a 19-hectare lake or dine at a resort while enjoying the views of Bukidnon's mountains. Let's hear more from Jason Rubrico's report.
When it comes to natural wonders, Bukidnon has a lot to boast of. Bukidnon is one of the provinces in northern Mindanao perfect for tourists who love nature trips. Several tourist destinations in the province were showcased by the Department of Tourism through the Philippine Experience Program to increase its recognition in the Philippines and the world. Lake Apo, located in Valencia City, is perfect for those who are looking to relax and reflect. While enjoying the breathtaking view of the 19-hectare lake and the cool climate, you may also enjoy delicious ikwate and delicacies available at Lakeview Cafe. Cavana Haven Resort is perfect for those who want to unwind and enjoy the mountain views in the province located in Kitao-Kitao, Bukidnon. Cavana Haven Resort is situated at an elevation of 3,753 feet above sea level, so you can really feel the cool and fresh climate. You can dine in the restaurant or stay overnight in one of their villas. In the morning, you will be greeted by the chirping of birds and the thick fog. Kung camping with a style ang hanap ninyo, dapat yung mapuntahan ang Taglukop Strawberry Farm dito sa Bukidnon. Handog nila sa mga turista ay isang kakaibang glamping na may kasamang farm tourism experience. This glamping site is located in Kitao-Kitao, Bukidnon. Their accommodations are truly Instagram worthy. From the living room, bed, furniture to the bathroom.
Ours is not only glamping, no, but it's glamping in nature. So you get to experience the glamour of camping, but also enjoying the nature. So we have the weather, na malamig.
Aside from glamping, you can also pick strawberries, make your own organic salad, or enjoy the food made with ingredients harvested directly from their farm.
We also have we have a vineyard. We have grapes, different kind of grapes. We make our own wines here. We have mushrooms. We grow our own mushrooms here. It's organic, it has no sprays. Our lettuce is here, just here. The herbs, the spices are just grown like in the place.
Resort and restaurant owners and their businessmen in Bukidnon are hopeful that through the Philippine Experience Program, tourism in the province will further flourish. According to the Department of Tourism, Bukidnon is proof that Northern Mindanao is ready to welcome more tourists in the coming times.
Bukidnon is really ready. We have several tour circuits in the 5 provinces, but ito yung isa sa mga circuits na maganda talaga yung feedback na may mix ng adventure, culture, culinary, nature, no? And in terms of accommodation, yes, we are ready in terms of our training dun sa ating frontliners. Masasabi na natin na pwede na talagang tumanggap ng domestic and international tourists.
For God and my beloved Philippines, I am Jason Rubrico, SMNI News.
Officials from the Department of Agriculture inspected several supermarkets in Quezon City. This is to check the supply and prices of meat products. But the question is, can the DA still find affordable prices today? Find out in Sheena Torno's report.
Ryan has a budget of 10,000 pesos for purchasing essential goods for his family. He said, unlike before, the groceries lasted until the 4th week, but now they find it difficult to stretch their budget due to the high prices of goods. They decided to buy whole chicken meat from supermarkets or groceries instead of the public market.
Siguro nasa between 5 to 10 pesos na lang din yung difference niya. Compare dati kasi dati nung namimili pa kami nung mother ko before, nasa mga 140 pa lang doon or 130, mahal na yun, nasa high-end na. So
Ryan's concern over the high prices of goods, especially whole chicken meat, is being addressed by the Department of Agriculture. Tuesday morning, Department of Agriculture Undersecretary for Livestock Deogracio Savellano visited 3 major local supermarkets in Quezon City. This was to check the supply and prices of chicken and pork. The officials showed that the consumers have options for low-priced meat where chicken can be bought for 160 pesos per kilogram and pork is also in reasonable price. Savellano also highlighted that the inspected supermarkets comply with the food safety requirements of the DA National Meat Inspection Service or NMIS. He emphasized that the other markets should follow and lower their prices too.
Kasi nakita natin, proven, na masyal tayo, 3 supermarket muna natin, and available, affordable, tsaka accessible, madali po tayo. May local, may imported.
Sabi ng Department of Agriculture, kayang-kaya daw ibaba ang presyo ng karning baboy kumpara sa presyuhan sa mga pamilihan na naglalaro sa 420 pesos kada kilo. Sa isang supermarket kasi dito sa Quezon City ay naglalaro lang sigit 200 pesos kada kilo ang presyo ng karning baboy. Pero ayon sa ilang mga mamimili,
kung sa akin, syempre hindi ito mura. Namahalan ako, pero no choice. Syempre, kung gusto mo din ng malinis tsaka fresh, 150 siguro, ganun, 200, yeah.
Ay, yung dating presyo.
Oo, pero I think wala naman talaga ding mura ngayon.
Hence, Marina's strategy is to make soup with the pork meat she buys from the supermarket just to make the dish many. However, the management of the mall assures that there will be supply of affordable pork and chicken for consumers.
Hindi po tayo sasabay doon sa mga price fluctuations ng local and imported na meat. being in a retail-centric po na setting, kailangan po day in, day out, available yung stocks.
While the prices of chicken and pork are cheaper in supermarkets, it's the opposite in public markets. Nancy's chicken prices are significantly higher by 10 pesos to 20 pesos per kilogram compared to other sellers.
Supposed to be yung mga heat stroke, yung init. Sobrang init kasi kaya hindi sila lumalaki kaagad. So ina-harvest na kaagad sa farm.
Meanwhile, pork prices range from 320 pesos per kilogram for Kasim, Pigay, and pork chop, while liempo is priced at 340 pesos per kilogram. The Department of Agriculture admits that there's currently an increase in the farm gate price of pork.
Pero ang average na dapat sa ngayon, yung farm gate ng baboy is 215. So kung papatungan mo yan ng 120 hanggang 150 max, so ang sabit ulo niya dapat nasa 340 hanggang 360. So yung Kasim, yan dapat nasa 320, 340 pesos. And yung liempo nasa 380 yung presyo.
In the Department of Agriculture's price monitoring, pork prices still range from 300 pesos per kilogram to 420 pesos per kilogram in some markets in Metro Manila. For vendor JR, it seems unlikely that pork prices will drop due to the high cost.
Nung mga nakarang taon po kasi medyo mainit ang panahon. Karamihan na namamatay po yung mga similya natin. Kinakapos yung supply ng baboy na buhay. Sa amin po hindi kaya, pero depende siguro sa mga farm kung medyo buwaba na yung presyo nila, buwaba din yung mga presyo ng tinda namin sa palengke.
Nevertheless, the Department of Agriculture will meet with the pork and poultry producers as well as other stakeholders to identify ways to reduce market prices. But for now, the supply of pork and chicken remains sufficient in the country. For God and for my beloved Philippines, this has been Sheena Torno, SMNI News.
Up next, Philippine State Bureau has lifted all tropical cyclone wind signals as Typhoon Aghon weakens and moves away from the country. However, the storm has left one person dead and affected over 200 barangays, according to the NDRRMC. In other news, 2 Russian agencies recommend the listing of rights-violating group as terrorists. We will be back after the break.
Abangan ng Banateros tuwing Lunes hanggang Huwebes, live dito lang sa SMNI.
Yan ang Banateros, walang inuurungan. Pag tama palakpakan, pag mali ay babanatan. Yan ang
Pastor Apollo Kibuloy.
Kibuloy is a threat to peace and order in the country.
Father, you have ordained leaders for the development, prosperity of our country, no matter what. The scriptures are very clear. And the scriptures tells us to put them up in supplications and prayers. that they may do the right thing, that they may guide our nation towards peace and development and prosperity.
Before I become extinct, I'd like to say to you, talagang you are the son of God.
Kung akong tatanungin, kahit saang aspeto, gusto ko garantisado. Metikuloso akong tao, kaya gusto ko lahat maayos at sigurado. Lahat quality, yung hindi ako makukompromiso, pero sulit ang presyo. Ganyan ang clean fuel, kaya dito, panatag ang loob ko.
Magandang umaga po, sir. Full tank po.
Full tank. Kung gusto mo ng dekalidad na gasolina pero sulit ang halaga, mag-clean fuel ka.
The group of fishermen in Zambales voiced their concern about their current situation in the West Philippine Sea compared to the previous administration. Here's the report from Jade Calabroso.
Ng China, itong pagharang sa pangingisda ninyo.
Ako po talaga ang unang hinaras ng China dyan ng 2014. Pero sa panahon naman nung nangyari na naging presidente si Rodrigo Duterte, kaya muli po kaming nakabalik.
A fisherman's account between the West Philippine Sea issue is currently trending on social media. This follows a public consultation and inquiry conducted by congressmen along with a group of fishermen regarding the alleged gentleman's agreement between former President Rodrigo Duterte and China in Masinloc, Zambales recently. In the video, Jeffrey Ila, the leader of the fishermen's group in San Salvador, Masinloc, Zambales, talks about his experiences in the West Philippine Sea. According to him, during former President Duterte's time, they were free to fish in Bajo de Masinloc, also known as Scarborough Shoal.
Dahil sa kakayahan po na lagi po akong nangingisda dyan, ako po talaga ang unang hinaras ng China dyan ng 2014. Pero sa panahon naman nung nangyari na naging presidente si Rodrigo Duterte, kaya muli po kaming nakabalik.
But now under the administration of President Bongbong Marcos, he said they are again experiencing harassment from China.
Pero sa ngayon lang po ulit na nangharas ulit sila ng mga Pilipinong nangingisda.
Moreover, he mentioned that the presence of the Philippine Coast Guard patrolling the Scarborough Shoal is rare, so they have no one else to ask for help when chased by Chinese boats.
Malimit lang naman po sila nakakarating dyan, sir, kung talagang may hinahatid po silang ayuda. Pero kung sa mga araw naman po na yung sinasabing patrolya, wala naman po kami nakikitang mga Philippine Coast Guard dyan.
Fisherman Noli de los Santos became emotional due to the severe hardship they are experiencing in fishing, in addition to the high prices of goods.
Dinadaan ko na lang po sa luha. Dinadaan ko na lang po sa inyo dahil ngayon po kayo bumaba. Ramdam naman ninyo siguro ang kahirapan namin. Dahil pagdating sa mga buyer, maraming huli, kunti ang binta dahil sa utang. Maraming kita, mahal naman yung babayarin. Bigas, kurinti, tubig.
He also criticized the politicians.
Sinong tutulong sa amin? Kapag eleksyon, kilala mo kami. Pagdating sa problema, di nyo kami kilala.
He said the aid they receive from the government is not enough, so the request is
malayang pangingisda lang po ang kailangan namin.
Meanwhile, the lawmakers assure that they will help the fishermen to continue fishing in Scarborough Shoal and other areas despite the threat of harassment from China. Meanwhile, fishermen in Zambales are now worried about their safety following China's new directive that starting this June, their Coast Guard will arrest trespassers in the South China Sea without trial.
gusto lang po namin iparating sa inyo. Yung security lang po namin na kung anong seguridad ang dapat naming maano dyan sa paglalakbay namin papunta po sa Scarborough na gaya ng sinabi, ngayong June 15 manguhuli sila. Paano naman po kaming talagang laging dyan po nangingisda sa Baho di Masinloc.
President Marcos had earlier promised to take all necessary steps to ensure the protection of Filipinos following China's directive. For God and my beloved Philippines, this has been Jade Calabroso, SMNA News.
In a decisive move to bolster disaster preparedness, the Philippine National Police, led by PNP Chief Police General Romel Francisco Marbil, conducted a simultaneous showdown inspection of their disaster response equipment and capabilities held at Camp Brigadier General Rafael T. Crame, Quezon City. Paul Montibon has the report.
In his speech during the recently concluded PNP's simultaneous showdown inspection held at Camp Crame in Quezon City, Police General Romel Francisco Marbil expressed gratitude to all police personnel who aided in responding to Typhoon Aghon. General Marbil acknowledged the challenges faced by affected communities and commended the efforts of the PNP officers in providing assistance. Regarding the equipment showcased, Police General Marbil expressed confidence in terms of security of the communities in times of disaster and emergencies in the country. The event included a central inspection where the disaster response capability assessment tools revealed substantial resources dedicated to disaster response. Across the 17 police regional offices, the PNP allocated 6,928 personnel, 40,613 search and rescue and retrieval equipment, 5,462 vehicles, and 43,519 supplies, with a total budget of about 200,000 pesos. Meanwhile, the National Support Units received resources comprising 805 personnel, 933 SRR equipment, 83 vehicles, and 1,016 supplies, with a total budget of 7.8 million pesos. Apart from the central inspection at Camp Crame, 17 police regional offices virtually participated in similar inspections, showcasing a united effort to ensure disaster preparedness across regions. NSUs outside Camp Crame, including the Philippine National Police Academy, Philippine National Training Institute, and Aviation Security Group, also conducted parallel activities under their respective directors' guidance, contributing to a comprehensive assessment of disaster response readiness within the PNP. During the event, 420 search and rescue PNP personnel actively participated, including 12 PNP Special Action Force SAR personnel. They displayed office or unit SAR boxes containing essential tools for emergency response. Notable exhibits included 24 SAR boxes from South and selected Crame-based NSUs, fire trucks, ambulances, rubber boats, man trucks, generator sets, and various communication equipment. The simultaneous showdown inspection of disaster response equipment and capabilities demonstrated the PNP's commitment to being prepared and equipped to respond effectively to disaster and emergencies nationwide. For God and my beloved country, the Philippines, reporting Paul Montibon, SMNA News.
The Supreme Court has ordered the transfer of the trial cases involving Pastor Apollo C. Kibuloy from Davao City to Quezon City. This comes after the Supreme Court Second Division granted the Department of Justice's request to transfer Pastor Apollo C. Kibuloy's cases to Metro Manila. Following this, the Supreme Court ordered Davao RTC Branch 12 to transfer the all case records to Quezon City RTC within 3 days upon receipt of the notice. The Supreme Court meanwhile instructed an executive judge of QCRTC to raffle the cases once the 2 case records are received by the judges assigned to handle the cases. There is now a call from a startup company for the government to further support small businesses in the country. MJ Mondihar reports.
A Cebu-based startup company has come a long way since opening during the height of the COVID-19 pandemic. From producing personal protective equipment and face masks, Uniform Solutions, or Unisol, has now become a world-class uniform company. Starting with just a few tailors and employees, Unisol now supports hundreds of families by producing all types of uniforms. They specialize in uniforms for any company, sportswear, whether formal or semi-formal, state-of-the-art embroidery, and many more. As a startup company, they seize every opportunity, especially with government offices. However, due to the high demand from government agencies, they have now a request for their clients. Payments from government and private institutions are often delayed due to payment terms. Typically, it takes 30 days, sometimes up to 60 days before payments are received. According to Unisol CEO Jonas Kelantang, this is a common problem for small businesses finding capital.
So that's the dilemma we have, because how can we scale or support our operations if we're dealing with that kind of terms of payment?
With high volume, they struggle to find rolling capital for future clients. Thus, they call on the government and private companies to ease payment terms and requirements to avail of loan programs.
For SMEs na walang access to credit, kami pa yung maproblema dun sa kapital. So by just changing that mindset
if there is no support from the government, how we can stay afloat? By, of course, giving us less requirements if we need financial assistance. Because what's happening right now, it's the same requirement that is needed. You being a small business or a multinational business.
According to the Confederation of Wearable Exporters of the Philippines, 5,000 garment factory workers from 9 companies nationwide will lose their jobs this year. Unisol does not want this to happen to their employees. Thus, they, along with other startups and small businesses, urge the government and private sectors to support local entrepreneurs.
Though there are government supports in other aspects of the business, but the lack of access to capital that can help us startups scale towards a global business.
Buy local, support local, pay fast, and pay in cash. And that would be a great help for SMEs.
For Ganimable of Philippines, I'm Jay Mondihap, SMNI News.
2 government agencies in Russia have reported to President Vladimir Putin to delist as a terrorist organization, a group known for violating human rights in Afghanistan. Let's find out what group this is in Sara Santos' report.
Russia recognizes the Taliban as a powerful organization. While in Tashkent, Uzbekistan, Russian Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov said on Monday, 27th of May, that Russia will delist the Taliban as a terror group.
Они являются реальной властью. Мы никогда не убирали оттуда наше посольство, как и посольство Китайской Народной Республики. Кстати, посол Талибана, посол Афганистана, вручал верительные грамоты в Пекине Си Цзиньпину вместе с другими послами. Казахстан недавно принял решение, которое мы тоже собираемся принять, об исключении их из списка террористических организаций. Тем более, что Совет Безопасности, он талибов как организацию террористической не объявлял. Там в списке террористов есть, по-моему, 12-15 конкретных персонажей. Но самое главное, они являются реальной властью. Афганистан нам не безразличен. И не безразличен для наших союзников, прежде всего в Центральной Азии. Так что этот процесс отражает осознание реальности.
This comes after Russia's special envoy for Afghanistan said that their foreign and justice departments have reported to President Vladimir Putin that the country can now consider the said group as a non-terrorist organization. It can be remembered that Russia formally labeled the Taliban a terrorist group in 2003. But according to Kabulov, the Taliban government has come a long way towards being recognized since it came to power in Afghanistan in 2021. On the other hand, Russia has sent an invitation to the Taliban to take part in its biggest annual economic forum from the 5th to the 8th of June in St. Petersburg. Reporting, this has been Sara Santos, SMNI News.
The United States is expected to end the ban on the sale of offensive weapons to Saudi Arabia in the coming weeks or days. Mulkasiri Kadis files this report.
Assalamualaikum. In a major policy shift,
Washington is getting ready to remove the restriction concerning the transfer of offensive weaponry to Riyadh amid warming ties between the two countries. U.S. President Joe Biden initially imposed the ban in 2021 in response to Saudi Arabia's military campaign against Iran-backed Houthis in Yemen and the assassination of Saudi journalist Jamal Khashoggi in 2018, which made headlines worldwide. The oil-rich country in the Persian Gulf is the largest buyer of U.S. weapons, with more than $84.3 billion in arms supplies as of September 2023. U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken last week said that Washington and Riyadh were very close to finalizing agreements on various industries such as nuclear energy, security, and defense cooperation. On the other hand, National Security Advisor Jake Sullivan said that the agreements would also include advanced weapons and U.S. defense guarantees for the Gulf nation. The potential sale of F-35 jets and a nuclear agreement are also on the horizon. The attack launched by the terror group Hamas against Israel on October 7th delayed the peace deal negotiations between Saudi Arabia and the Jewish state, which was anticipated to take place last year. Stephen Cook, senior fellow at the Council of Foreign Relations, called the agreement extremely important that sends a strong message to Iran that supports the Houthis and likely surpasses Saudi Arabia's current relations with China. The lifting of the ban on offensive weapons and a looming security agreement with Saudi Arabia are being worked on ahead of the 2024 U.S. presidential elections in November. The latest development comes as United States and Saudi Arabia have been working on a plan to sign a security deal that will later include a normalization deal between the Arab nation and Israel. Reporting from Kuwait, I am Melchizedek Cadiz, your global citizen correspondent for God and for our beloved country, the Philippines.
A government official in Papua New Guinea told the United Nations that more than 2,000 people are believed to have been buried alive from a massive landslide last week as efforts to find the missing victims continue. Trisha Molina has the report.
Rescue teams have traveled to the northern region of Papua New Guinea since Friday in hopes of finding potential survivors after a massive landslide buried hundreds of people alive. Most of the residents were still sleeping when disaster hit. The landslide occurred in the mountainous Anga region in northern Papua New Guinea. Rescuers race against time digging under the rubble, as chances of finding survivors are getting slimmer with each day that passes by. Authorities declared a state of emergency across the disaster zone and a neighboring area. Rescuers risk their lives looking for survivors and recovering bodies despite the landslide still active. The more they dig, the more land falls from the collapsed part of the mountain. Some survivors, desperate to find their missing loved ones, took the matter upon themselves by using shovels, sticks, and their bare hands to dig through muddy rubble and debris.
The landslide occurred in the early hours of Friday morning. The provincial authorities responded very quickly and effectively, conducting an initial assessment. We believe that there are access issues because of the main road has been destroyed for about 200 metres. So that means that trucks delivering relief supplies and other heavy equipment can't get into the area. But the authorities are prioritising the repair of that road now. As of last night, the authorities announced they'd recovered 7 bodies. However, we believe because of the size of the population and also the time of day that it happened, the death toll will rise quite significantly.
Currently, the bodies are yet to be retrieved. The locals are still working and trying to dig out more of the bodies. Provincial government is sending natural disaster team with healthcare team and some police and defense personnel to go there and check out, assist at the site.
The landslide in Papua New Guinea is just one of the harrowing tales of disaster taking place in Asia Pacific, with cyclones, flash floods, and heat waves wreaking havoc in the region and other parts of the world since the start of the year. Reporting, this has been Trisha Molina, SMNI News.
Up next, North Korea rejects denuclearization calls at South Korea's three-way summit, intensifying tensions in the peninsula. Kenya braces for a food crisis as relentless rains and floods decimate vital crops, sparking fears of widespread shortages. Amidst political turmoil, Thailand's Federation of Thai Industries cautions of potential investor reluctance following Constitutional Court's acceptance of Prime Minister's removal complaint. We will be back after the break.
Magandang umaga Luzon, Visayas, Mindanao. Maayong buntag mga kapartner. Magandang araw sa buong mundo.
Magandang araw Pilipinas. Ito ang Pulso ng Bayan.
Hihimayin ang mga pangunahing issue sa ating bayan. Susuriin ang mga kinakailangang malaman ng taong bayan. Aalamin ang pulso ng bawat Pilipino sa mga pangyayari sa ating lipunan. Pulso ng Bayan, alas 7 hanggang alas 9 ng umaga, tuwing Lunes hanggang Biyernes. Kasama ang spokes ng Bayan, Attorney Harry Roque, Admar Vilado at Jade Calabroso. Dito lang sa SMNI.
For some Manila congressmen, the proposal to ban the TikTok app should be thoroughly studied, especially since it serves as a source of income for Filipino influencers. Meanwhile, several Manila congressmen who voted no on the divorce bill explained why they have opposed the bill. Margaret Gonzalez report.
Various online apps are highly popular nowadays for expressing oneself, entertainment, providing information, and even selling various products online. Some of these apps include Facebook, Twitter, and TikTok. But the Chinese-owned app TikTok is now facing a proposed ban in the country. House Deputy Majority Leader Bienvenido Abante has filed a bill to ban TikTok in the Philippines amid tensions between the country and China. According to him, this is a preemptive action to protect Filipinos from manipulation and misinformation from China. But for fellow congressman like Manila District Representative Ernix Junicio, nobody should rush to halt the operations of this online app in the country.
I think we should not just ban mga apps just like that without knowing and understanding yung connection nito sa pamahalaan ng China na as alleged. Kasi suspecha pa lang. Kailangan pag-aralan natin. Katulad ng ginagawa dun sa Amerika, malaman natin kung talagang may grounds ba para i-ban natin.
Congressman Erwin Cheng, District 5 Representative of Manila, prefers to thoroughly study the proposal, especially since TikTok is also a source of income for some Filipinos. He said that we need to first establish whether TikTok indeed poses a threat to our national security.
Mga negosyo to eh. Hindi naman natin pwedeng biglang isasara lang natin. As far as I know, marami rin tayo mga influencers na kumikita sa gantong klaseng mga apps. So, hindi ko pwede sabihin na, sige, tomorrow, sara na natin yan. If there is really a threat sa national security natin, of course, I will support.
Meanwhile, when it comes to the controversial divorce bill that has passed in the House, Congressman Cheng stated that aside from his personal opposition to divorce, many of those he has spoken to are also not in favor of the proposed law.
Lahat ng mga nakausap ko, kada bata, senior citizen, mga chairman ko, hindi sila in favor. Mayroon ilan, pero majority is against the divorce bill. So I said no, against ako sa divorce eh. Kasi yung isa sa end results niyan, magkakaroon tayo ng fatherless or motherless kids eh.
Congressman Junicio believes that it's better to expand the grounds for annulment rather than to have divorce in the Philippines.
Ang problem sa annulment, una magastos. At pangalawa, mahabang proseso. We have to increase the grounds ng pag-validate ng annulment.
For God and the beloved Philippines, this has been Margaret Gonzalez, SMNI News.
The Department of Energy continues its efforts to restore power lines in areas affected by Typhoon Aghon. Creslin Gatarong reports.
Following the impact of Typhoon Aghon in the country, the Energy Department stated that they are continuously working to restore electricity, particularly focusing on repairing power lines. During a public briefing on Tuesday, DOE Assistant Secretary Mario Marasigan said that nearly 2,500 megawatts of direct or indirect total capacity were affected by the typhoon.
Ito po ay kasama ang ating 3 units ng pagbilaw. Kasama rin po dyan ang unit po ng ating Botokan na hydropower facilities at meron pa pong mga ibang planta kung saan po medyo malaki po yung naapektuhan.
However, Marasigan clarified that the typhoon did not cause any problem in the power plants themselves. Rather, most of the damage occurred in the transmission lines delivering electricity to facilities and substations. Nevertheless, the Ilihan power plant in Batangas City is reported to be back in operation and is expected to restore 1,200 megawatts from its floating storage unit. Furthermore, Marasigan stated that a 455-megawatt San Buenaventura power plant in Quezon Province is also back in service. Meanwhile, the units of the Pagbilao Power Station in Quezon are expected to be back in its operation on Wednesday.
Datapwat kahit po nakabalik itong mga linya na to, ay meron pa rin po tayong deklarasyon ng red alert para po naman malaman natin kung hanggang saan tataas ang ating mga demand.
On the other hand, the DOE continues to urge the public to conserve energy and use electricity wisely.
Pagdating po sa paggamit ng kuryente, panatiliin po natin na malinis ang ating mga appliances at kung hindi po ginagamit, lalo na kung sa pangmatagalan, hugutin po natin to sa mga outlet. Kasi yung pong ating lahat ng appliances na gumagamit ng remote, meron pong tinatawag yan na phantom power, kung saan nagkukonsumo pa rin ng kuryente kahit hindi po siya natin ginagamit or naka-on.
For God and for my beloved Philippines, this has been Creslin Gatarong, SMNI News.
Kenya fears a looming flood crisis after weeks of devastating rains and floods destroyed precious crops in the East African nation. Grato Omori reports.
After suffering from years of drought, weeks of heavy downpours that claimed hundreds of lives and left thousands of people homeless have surprised Kenya as farmers pick up what's left of flooding and cyclone that plagued the region. Weeks of relentless rain in Kenya submerged farms and destroyed precious crops on nearly 68,000 hectares of land, according to government data. About 48% of Kenya's land is agricultural, which means the East African nation is highly dependent on farming to sustain its economy. The severe weather dashed the hopes of local farmers to earn a substantial amount of money from crops that took them months to toil. The aftermath of the disaster sparked fears of a looming food security crisis. The severe weather also affected wildlife in Kenya, which killed nearly 300 people, and dozens more were declared missing across the country. Experts said that the climate change and not the El Niño weather pattern should be blamed for the widespread flooding that killed hundreds in East Africa this year. The severe weather linked to seasonal monsoons and rainy seasons affected at least 1.6 million people and displaced more than 410,000 others in the region. Besides Kenya, other East African nations affected by months of heavy rains and deadly flash floods include Uganda, Tanzania, Burundi, Ethiopia, and Somalia. Reporting from Dubai, I'm Gratero Omori, your global citizen correspondent for SMNI News Channel.
North Korea condemns call for denuclearization in the peninsula during a three-way summit in South Korea. Kim Sung, tell us more.
North Korea's foreign ministry described calls for denuclearization in the peninsula as mockery that equates to political provocation and violation of its sovereignty. The joint declaration was made during a trilateral summit attended by South Korea, Japan, and China in Seoul. Chinese Premier Li Qiang called on all parties to reduce tensions without singling out North Korea. Meanwhile, South Korean President Yoon Suk-yeol and Japanese Prime Minister Fumio Kishida called out Pyongyang to abandon its plans to launch a second spy satellite into orbit. For years, South Korea has been spending billions to keep thousands of American troops on its soil, which the U.S. claimed is a powerful investment to deter potential threats from North Korea. Representatives from South Korea and the U.S. met in Hawaii last week to discuss terms of a cost-sharing agreement to keep an estimated 28,500 U.S. forces on its soil. The U.S. military has maintained a strong presence in South Korea since the end of the Korean War. The summit on Monday was overshadowed by North Korea's announcement of its plan to launch its second spy satellite into orbit between May 27th and June 4th. North Korea faced another setback after the second spy satellite exploded shortly after liftoff Monday. The satellite was launched hours after leaders from South Korea and Japan met for their first trilateral summit in nearly 5 years. Reporting from South Korea, this is Kim Sung, your global citizen correspondent for God in our beloved country, the Philippines.
A deadly cyclone left a massive trail of destruction in Bangladesh and India, where it forced nearly 1 million people to leave their homes and millions more left struggling in the dark after the severe weather cut off power lines. Here's Anissa de Guzman with more details.
Weather experts in Bangladesh said tropical cyclone Remal was one of the quickest forming and longest lasting they had experienced, with climate change blamed for the severe weather. Disaster after disaster hit several nations across the globe since the start of 2024. On Sunday evening, tropical cyclone Remal made landfall in India and Bangladesh. In the next 2 days, the deadly cyclone killed 23 people as of Tuesday evening. Coastal areas in India and Bangladesh were affected the most as the cyclone crashed in low-lying areas. Bangladesh evacuated around 800,000 people in 9 coastal districts and about 150,000 people in India's Sundarbans mangrove forests. Additionally, more than 13 million people in Bangladesh have no electricity on Monday evening. India's Kolkata airport also cancelled 50 domestic and international flights on Sunday afternoon. Heavy rain and winds damaged homes and infrastructure and uprooted trees. The deadly cyclone hit the South Asian countries after weeks of intense heat. Remal was the first cyclone to hit the Bay of Bengal this year ahead of the monsoon season from June to September. I'm Anissa de Guzman, your global citizen correspondent for God in our beloved country, the Philippines.
Thailand's Federation of Thai Industries warned that foreign investors may hesitate investing in Thailand after the Constitutional Court accepted a complaint seeking the removal of the Prime Minister. Chatmongkong Pisamagoson brings the report.
Thai Prime Minister Srettha Thavisin turned to a legal expert for advice on how to handle his case after lawmakers accused him of violating ethical standards for the appointment of a cabinet minister with a criminal conviction. On May 23rd, 40 senators filed a complaint concerning the appointment of Prime Minister's Office Minister Pichit Chunban, who was jailed for 6 months in 2008 on contempt of court charge. The lawmakers argued his appointment fell short of moral and ethical standards for ministers. The office minister in question resigned days before the Constitutional Court accepted the petition. Prime Minister Srettha Thavisin faces potential removal if the Constitutional Court finds his appointment as the cabinet minister breached ethics rules. Amid the political setback, Thavisin turned to legal expert and former Deputy Minister Wisanu Krangam for advice but refused to divulge the details of their conversation. The Prime Minister said that the legal experts' advice gave him a confidence boost on how to defend himself in court. The budget bill for the 2025 fiscal year and the ongoing government policies will be affected in case there is an abrupt change in leadership. The opposition Move Forward Party said the group will nominate former party leader Pithalin Jalonrat as its candidate for Prime Minister in case a political accident that could remove Tawisin from power take place. The court refused to suspend Seta from duty pending a verdict and was given 15 days from the 23rd of May to make an appeal and justify his nomination. Reporting from Thailand, I'm Shatmongkol Pisamaikoson, your Global Citizens correspondent for SM9 News Channel.
The head of cabinet in Argentina resigned his position due to differences with the Milei government. Argentine President Javier Milei accepted the resignation of Cabinet Chief Nicolas Pasi, marking the first significant reshuffle of his administration. Pasi will be succeeded by Interior Minister Guillermo Francos, a key figure in Milei's austerity measures. This move comes amid tensions over the government's sweeping economic reforms aimed at tackling nearly 300% inflation. Francos will now hold increased political power, including his current Interior Ministry duties, to expedite these reforms. As one of Milei's primary negotiators in Congress, Francos is expected to push forward the delayed legislative agenda. While inflation has started to decline, Milei's reforms have had a considerable impact on consumers, and Franco's appointment signals a commitment to accelerating these measures. The President of France warned against the rising influence of far-right parties as his rare diplomatic visit to Germany came to an end. Prisha Molina has the details.
French President Emmanuel Macron urged Europeans to wake up and resist the growing influence of far-right parties. Macron made a warning as far-right parties from both countries seek political gains ahead of the European elections set to take place from the 6th through the 9th of June. Macron and his German counterpart Frank-Walter Steinmeier agreed to deepen bilateral ties between their countries. The French president also campaigned for the region to be more loyal to European-made technology, particularly in the sectors of defense and space. France and Germany are among the biggest economies in Europe. The three-day state visit that started on Sunday made Macron the first French president to visit Germany in nearly 25 years. Reporting, this has been Trisha Molina, SM9 News.
And before we end, may be inspired with the words of the sun. Every day may not be good, but there's something good in every day. And that's all for this edition. For more news updates, you may visit smi9newschannel.com or follow us on our official social media accounts on Rumble, YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter. For God and my beloved country, the Philippines, I am Franco Baranda, and this is Newsline World.
This is SMNI News Channel. Truth that matters. Subscribe to SMNI News Channel and turn on the notification bell to keep you up to date. Also visit our official social media accounts and join our community on Viber and Telegram.